Rice lives in almost every kitchen. It gets cooked constantly, week after week, and almost every time the same thing happens. The rice gets rinsed, the water turns cloudy for a few seconds, and then it goes straight down the sink. That water is worth keeping. But because lab tests have confirmed with actual numbers that what rinses off rice during a simple wash is a useful liquid fertilizer, one that competes with commercial products. Take roughly 4 generous handfuls of dry rice, what a household of 4 would use for a meal, and add 1.5 litres of water. Then wash it, really wash it. Massage the grains together firmly. If you've ever made basmati the right way, you know, the technique where you rinse and massage the rice 2, 3, even 4 times until the water runs completely clear. You already know what this feels like. Same action, and you keep the water instead of dumping it. After a good massage, the liquid changes. You can see it, right? It goes opaque and whitish, sometimes with that faint yellow tint. And that colour shift is not, incidental. That cloudiness is starch and nutrients lifting off the grain surface and suspending in the liquid. That's what the plants want. The water doesn't have to be deeply milky. Even a first wash that's already going cloudy, that's enough. That colour change is basically the signal. Strain the rice off through a colander into a clean pot or bowl. Rice goes to be cooked, water stays. And then you look at the lab numbers and, well, that was going down the drain 30 seconds ago. After 1 wash, 1 round of massaging the rice in 1.5 litres of water, the phosphorus in the water jumped by 50 times compared to plain tap water. 50 times. The potassium jumped by 25 times, and the pH settled at around 5.6, which is, noticeably acidic. For the right plants, that acidity isn't a side effect to manage around. It's actually kind of a bonus working alongside everything else. Now, one thing that's worth saying clearly up front, rice wash water has essentially no nitrogen. And if that sounds like a problem, hang on, it's not a weakness so much as a definition, I guess. Nitrogen is what pushes leafy growth, dense foliage, fast vertical extension. If a plant needs that, this isn't the answer. But for a plant trying to keep flowering through a long summer, or producing fruit, or building root systems sturdy enough to resist disease pressure, phosphorus and potassium are the story. And this water has both. To make those numbers mean something real, a comparison was run against one of the most widely used commercial liquid fertilizers for flowering plants, a well-known reference product in this category, the kind you'd find on the shelf at any garden centre. That product delivers 172 milligrams per litre of nitrogen, 173 milligrams per litre of phosphorus. Rice wash water has close to no nitrogen and around 60 milligrams per litre of phosphorus, about 1/3 of what's in the bottle. That's a real gap. There's no clean way to spin that, and honestly, it shouldn't be spun. But then there's potassium, and this is where the comparison sort of flips entirely. That same commercial formula contains 33 milligrams per litre of potassium. Rice wash water contains 44, more potassium than a product designed and sold specifically for flowering plants. More than what comes in the bottle you paid for, from water that was, heading down the drain. A lot of gardeners are already subscribed and quietly getting more out of their terrace containers than most people think is possible on zero budget. This channel is where that kind of thing lives. Don't miss the next one. Hit subscribe. Look, potassium is, the nutrient that makes a plant look genuinely good. Not just alive, good. It affects how stems hold themselves, the texture and density of the leaves, the overall presence of the thing. But where potassium really shows up is in the flowers. Plants with enough potassium bloom bigger, more vividly, and they hold those blooms longer than plants where potassium is basically running low. In a kitchen garden or a vegetable plot, same story, different form. The fruit grows larger. The flavour develops with more depth and sweetness. This is why potassium sits at the centre of both decorative and productive gardening. It's the nutrient that shows up in the actual result. 44 milligrams per litre of it from rinse water. The phosphorus, even at roughly 1/3 of what the commercial product delivers, still does real work when you apply it consistently. Phosphorus is, what drives root development. Deep roots, extensive root systems, healthy roots that let a plant anchor well and pull water and nutrients from further down in the soil. And it contributes to disease resistance, which matters most in a vegetable garden during those warm, damp stretches of summer, when fungal pressure builds fast. 60 milligrams per litre isn't the headline number here, but it adds up right across a whole season of regular use. The pH drop to 5.6 is worth thinking about, depending on what's growing. Acid-loving plants sit in exactly that zone naturally. Azalee, camelie and ortensie all thrive there. And for those plants, rice wash water does like two things at once. It feeds and it shifts the pH in the direction they prefer in a single application. Beyond the acid lovers, the plants that tend to respond most visibly are the flowering ones grown on balconies and terraces. Gerani, Dipladenia, Bougainvillea, all well suited here. And these are precisely the plants that need to keep producing flowers through summer and deep into autumn without burning out. A mandevilla in a terrace container, fed consistently, honestly, can stay in continuous flower well into October. That's the kind of extended season that potassium and phosphorus make possible. Frequency matters. Standard liquid fertilizers are usually recommended every 15 days. Rice wash water works on the same schedule, applied directly, without diluting. 1.5 litres per rinse covers roughly 2 window boxes of gerani at one application. And ideally, you rotate this with a balanced fertilizer when nitrogen is also needed, because this doesn't do nitrogen. But in rotation with something that does, across 2 or 3 months of the main flowering and fruiting period, the difference accumulates and, eventually becomes visible. Fuller blooms, stronger plant structure, fruit that is noticeably larger, and, better tasting than what comes from soil that's been running low on potassium. One rinse doesn't transform a garden overnight, but week after week through the growing season, the potassium and phosphorus accumulate and start to show. You can feel it before you can fully explain it. That's how it works. Slowly and then unmistakably. And the water that makes all of that happen was going down the drain every single time rice got cooked. Takes less than a minute to save it. Worth doing.